Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Masterpiece Movie Theater, where we will be discussing another one of my all-time favorite movies. And when I say favorite, I always, distinguish favorite between good. We could sit here and argue, what the best films ever made are. I'm saying this is one of my top 20 favorite movies. I watch it when I'm in a good mood, in a bad mood. It's a very feel-good movie, and I am talking about Mannequin. Yes, this is the double DVD there with Mannequin 2 on the move, which was alright. It doesn't warrant its own episode. No offense to anybody in it. But let's get to it. The movie starts off with Emmy in ancient Egypt, which, this is the only real hokey part. There they are in ancient Egypt speaking English. The mom even has kind of a New York accent. Emmy doesn't want to get married to who her parents want her to marry. She wants to do all these things in life. She pleads to the gods, and wherever they are, the temple, pyramid, wherever they are, it begins to shake, lightning, thunder, and she's gone. And opening credits roll, and then we are introduced to Jonathan Switcher, yes, played by none other than Andrew McCarthy, who we were just so lucky to have in the 80s in all the roles that he was in. He's the best. I wish his career would have gone off even further and continued, because Andrew McCarthy is just fantastic. So they show him building a mannequin in a factory, and he points out to his boss, it took him like a week to make this mannequin, and it's perfect, and the boss is mad at him because he's supposed to be building at least 6 a day or something like that. So then he fires him, and then we are led into a montage of him at different jobs that he just can't seem to hold. He wants to be a sculptor, and he wants to create, and none of these jobs are right for him. They show him at a pizzeria, and he's obviously taking way too long to make the pizza, and he gets fired, and he's working on the grounds of a very wealthy looking mansion area, and he trims a bush into a giant bunny, and he gets fired. And so he picks up his girlfriend, person he's been seeing, Roxy, who works at Illustra, and which is a clothing department store. They go out, and she pretty much dumps him and takes a cab. She leaves. It starts to rain, and then his motorcycle doesn't start. So he's walking along with it, and he stops in front of another store, which is called Prince and Company, and he sees his mannequin in the window, and he walks over, he talks to it, and he's like, you're the first thing I created that made me feel like an artist. So he's happy that he found it. He's in a good mood. He runs and slides back to his motorcycle, which then starts up after he finds his mannequin, and then he drives off, says see you tomorrow, because obviously he plans to go there the next day, which he does. And is where you're introduced to Estelle Getty's character, Mrs. Timken, or Claire, and she's just always great. Her introduction is funny. She's just great. It's Estelle Getty, okay. They're talking about the sign that's being raised up. It's a 100-year anniversary sign. She's telling them about the store. Accident happens, and it comes swinging down. He pushes her out of the way, but he ends up actually on it, and he's like riding it back and forth. And she offers him something. He says he needs a job. And so she gets him hired. It's where you're introduced to James Spader's character, Richards, who throughout the movie you just want to punch in the face because he is just a weaselly jerk throughout this entire movie. But he does it like only James Spader could because, you know, you love James Spader, but you want to hit him in the face. That's how good of an actor he is. So, it come to find out throughout the movie, so I don't have to keep, you know, hopping back onto the point, is he is trying from the inside to help BJ Wirt, who runs Illustra. He's trying to help Illustra buy Prince and Company so he can then work there and make extra money on it. So again, just a weaselly jerk, right? So he so Jonathan gets a job. He just delivers merchandise to different parts of the store, and he finally gets in where he gets a moment to go and see the mannequin, and he's looking at it, and that's when you're introduced to Hollywood Montrose, or Meshach Taylor's character, and he is just hilarious. Almost everything he says is just awesome. The character just puts a smile on your face. He is outrageous. He's always just got an outrageous pair of sunglasses on. He's just so funny throughout the entire movie. Jonathan ends up being able to work with him and help him, to dress the mannequins, to design the windows, stuff like that. And when Hollywood goes off to see his boyfriend or ex-boyfriend or whatever is going on with Albert, whatever they were fighting, is the first time that Emmy comes to life in front of Jonathan. So, he thinks he's going crazy. He walks her through the store, all this stuff. They end up dressing a window, and it's a hit. And it's, there's people showing up, all they want to see everything. It's amazing. There's already people, coming in the door. It's a huge hit. She meets with the board. Claire, Mrs. Timken, meets with the board. Obviously, Richards is trying to move along with the sale to Illustra, but the rest of the board staves it off, and Jonathan gets a promotion. So he goes, he's there every night with her. She keeps coming to life. They're having, they have fun every night. They're dressing the window different ways. At one point, we're led through a montage that is just so much fun to watch. They emulate music videos that were out around the time. It's a really cool scene. But then Hollywood shows up, and Jonathan tries to introduce her, but she's a mannequin again. And then he leaves, and then she comes back to life, and it's, he thinks it's unfair that no one else can see her. She, not blames, but she's like, talk to them, and, talking about the gods who let her, come to life. And in their conversations, you also find out that, she didn't just leave Egypt and end up here. She was meeting different people throughout time, and finding, she didn't find what she wanted, even though she knew Christopher Columbus, she knew Michelangelo, but he was obsessed with a guy named David. So all these things, this little bit of dialogue, it comes to light, but it gives you a lot of information, very little dialogue. Also along for the ride throughout the whole movie, trying to catch Jonathan, is G.W. Bailey's Felix, the security guard, and his dog Rambo, and who's put on to them by James Spader's Riches. So he keeps trying to catch him every night. At one point, Jonathan's ex-girlfriend Roxy and like this other weasel dude that works at Alestra. They sneak in and they take pictures of him when he was trying to build one of the spaces, and the mannequin ended up on top of him. So they keep going, through the movie. The windows are getting bigger and better, and and while they're also building their relationship, and eventually, he's named the youngest vice president, right? Which is, obviously a big, huge deal. He tells them he couldn't have done it without her. And one night, she's actually flying through the store on like a little paraglider thing. She knocks out Felix on her way down. And then in the morning, when he wakes up, Claire and Jonathan are there, and she makes Richards fire him, but then he says, "Oh, I was just doing what Richards said." She fires Richards as well, and then I think actually, and then I think he's named vice maybe after that. I could be mixing up exactly when that happens, but regardless, one night they're together. They're on a bunch of giant, like, I don't know what's like big furry rugs and everything, and so they fall asleep on them. She realizes what time it is. She gets up. She goes to the window, and that's when Richards and Felix sneak back in, and they steal all of the mannequins at the request of BJ Work. So Hollywood wakes him up in the morning, or he wakes up in the morning. Hollywood is there. They go to Illustra because they know that it had to be them that took them. He walks into the conference room, and it's BJ and Richards and Roxy. And Roxy's just looking at him like she's worried about him, but jealous. It's a very like mixture of feelings, but all he wants is the mannequin back. BJ's trying to get him to come work at Illustra so he can do the same thing that he did for Prince Company. And then James Spader's Richards is just sitting there being, weaselly. So Roxy's jealousy hits its peak, and she hauls off to go, and she says you're never going to see her again, and hauls off to just go and to destroy the mannequin. He punches Richards in the face, takes off, because somebody had to hit that guy in the face. So then there's a chase scene through the store. Felix is there and with a bunch of other security guards, way too many for a department store. But it's a movie. So they chase the big chase scene through the store. Hollywood even ends up helping him in one of the hallways. When they get to the back, he's got a fire hose. He's hitting everybody in the hallway. They can't get past him because it's too powerful. And Roxy has taken all of the mannequins and put them on a conveyor belt where it's like a gigantic shredder, which seems like, why is it so big? But then you find out why, because she accidentally stands under the giant garbage chute where the buzzer goes off and it opens up, and it just must be from multiple floors throughout the whole place, and it drops tons of stuff on her, just papers and stuff, but enough. So drops tons of stuff on her, and Emmy is of course the last one put on the conveyor belt. So Jonathan runs up, and just as she goes to fall in, he gets to the top and he grabs her, but he doesn't really have a lot of room to stand, and the conveyor belt behind him is still moving forward, and he's standing on like a piece of metal like this big, and he's trying to catch her, to hold her up. And the guy who works maintenance there comes out, and he's like, like, what's gonna happen and what's going on? And he's still trying to hold the mannequin up, and that's when her hand comes to life and grabs his, And then when the worker sees that he's trying to pull up a real person, he runs over and he finally turns the thing off, or the whole contraption, turns it all off, and he's finally able to pull her, to lean back, pull her up, and she looks down and she sees the guy looking at her, and she realizes that she's real, and he can see her, and Jonathan is just relieved that he saved her. Yeah, and she's relieved that the gods let her go, and she can be real again. All the security guards come in. Mrs. Timken is there. Richards shows up. BJ Wirt, Felix. Everyone's there. When Claire comes in, she's got a tape. Because after she fired Felix, she put in security cameras, and and she caught Richards and Felix stealing all of the merchandise, or all of the mannequins, which is their merchandise. So the cops are arresting them. Felix is yelling, looking at Emmy, going, "She's the dummy." G.W. Bailey he's just fantastic. He was good. He's good in everything he was ever in because he's G.W. Bailey. He's awesome. But they end up together, and they show them outside of not outside of, but in the windows of Prince and Company, getting married. Mrs. Timken is there. Hollywood is there. He's crying. It's really funny. His reaction to it, but again, Mannequin is just a feel good movie. It's a movie you can turn your brain off, turn your worries off to, and just watch and enjoy. Just 80s montage scenes, music, just it's all fun and good, and it's just it just makes you feel good. So the guy that was the worker at the end ends up being security, and in the second one, and as well as Meshach Taylor being in the second one as well. Very different movie, mild, not really the same premise. It's not as good. It's not awful, but it's also not as good. Again, it's Mannequin is just, it's just great. It's a feel good movie. So, in the interest of 80s feel good movies, I implore you to follow me next week as I go over another movie that again just makes you feel good in the heart, right? Another movie from the 80s, The Boy Who Could Fly. Like, subscribe, and share everything that is on Niche Nerd Network, and I will see you next time.